Where to next? We can investigate Rothar Hatherland, or we can go and see what Melandra has to say. Or we could go and try and find one or two of the people who spoke to you yesterday, but I don't think Wellver has anything to do with it.
I would like to, because I think this Elac guy, he's the key.
It seemed like he knew more than he was letting on yesterday, but it didn't seem like he was...
Well, he went on to chat to the guy that died, right?
No, he couldn't find him.
Well, he says he couldn't find him.
Well, we don't know if they met at all.
As you were discussing Elac Dornan, you see the man himself approach, and with him is a man you don't recognise and a boy who you definitely do recognise. I thought I'd find you here. Here is Rothar Hatherhand, one of my employees, and his son, Braylon, who I believe you rescued from the cave-in.
Yes, rescued from the cave, and that wasn't exactly what happened.
Rothar is a quite gaunt-looking man with a harsh stare in his eyes, and he says, I hear you've been looking for me. I am Rothar, and this is my son.
Before he died, Baragustus named you as one of the believers in the Delvers, and your son there, he did so too, as did Grund. What can you tell us of the Delvers?
It's true, I've been interested in the Delvers for some time. Everyone who knows me knows this, that I have studied the lore of the great dwarves of thousands of years ago. However, I only learned about the tomb underneath a mere 10 days ago. Baragustus came to me and said that he wanted to discover more about what was contained in the tomb. So I was ever so excited to learn of this. He gave me some items from the tomb and I was examining them. That's about it, really.
Your son Braylon told me that you had a message to pass to Imlith Whalver, and that's why...
I often have messages passed to Imlith. He makes the wagons for the quarry and I work for the quarry. It's just a simple bit of paperwork. I gave my boy here an errand, didn't I? Little Braylon. The boy looks like sheepishly up and nods. But yes, he's been missing for the last day and I am so grateful for you two little chaps having brought him back to me. Especially given the collapse over there, that could have been so much worse. Elac says, I am so very, very sorry to learn that Baragustus would bring such a character into Red Larch. We elders have always consulted each other on important matters and decisions. He went completely behind our backs on this one. Still, it's a pity that he decided to kill himself. Nothing is worth that.
A pity indeed. We won't keep you any longer. We'll continue to investigate. Thank you for your assistance.
Rothar says, good day to you both. Thanks again. Elac says, please keep me up to date on your findings. If you can find anyone else involved, we elders want to know about it, as will Harburg.
Certainly. Is he leaving?
Yeah, they all kind of turn and slowly move away.
I'm going to whisper to Wellby, follow him, and I'm going to cast invisibility on Wellby.
Okay, so Wellby is now invisible.
Okay, I'm sticking to him.
Can you combine stealth with invisibility? Because obviously cover your sound as well.
Yep, do you want to roll a stealth check and also...
Quiet as the grave.
Silently walk behind them as well as invisibly.
Can I hear them saying anything? Are they
Okay,
talking?
they stop at the corner. Elac turns to Rothar. He leans and he mutters something, so you need to roll a perception check to determine.
Oh, my perception's not that good. Ooh.
Oh.
You hear him say, so who's left? We need to speak to Gaelka and Elberry, and then I believe we're in the clear. Rothar turns back and says, let's just play this one out. We still don't know whether he'll talk.
I don't think I've heard the name Elberry before.
Elac says, in the meantime, just try to go along with business as usual. I want this town to go back to normal as soon as possible. Elac then starts walking away separately, and Rothar turns to his son and says, come on you, and you best be on your best behaviour. You nearly caused a lot of trouble for us today. And they walk off as well in a separate direction.
So I'll head back towards the butcher shop. Head inside and I'll repeat what I just heard.
Talyn, you can roll a perception check.
I will introduce myself. I'll be like, hey. Okay, well he can hear me anyway, can't he? If I talk to him.
Yeah.
I say, hey Talyn, it's me, I've just come back. There's a conversation between the two. They mentioned they're going to speak to they may speak to Melandro and also another person named Elberry. They sound like they're quite keen to keep everything quiet. We should go and talk to Melandra as soon as possible, just in case they're going to meet him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the captain nods and says, that's a good idea, otherwise we could end up with more people committing suicide with broken arms.
Yeah, okay.
Might be advantageous for you to stay invisible for a while.
That's up to you.
I'll have a... If I scratch my nose, it means you need to kill.
What?
I scratch my nose, I want you to kill someone.
Murdering you.
The guard on the door is kind of watching all this kind of intently.
Yeah, it's alright. We've got deputies' badges. It's fine to talk to invisible people if you're a deputy.
The guard says, don't worry, I'll stop anyone getting through this door. No one's going to get to Grund unless they get past me first, and I won't allow it.
Okay. Well, to the criminal mobile.
You head to the northeast to get to Melandra's.
Alright, you two wait out here for a sec. Oh, the door's not open, I guess.
Well, it would look a bit suspicious if you opened it.
Yeah. Maybe one of you two had better open it, then I'll sneak in afterwards.
Captain follows the diminutive no. Melandro, looking slightly less cheerful than normal, greets you and says, I see Wellby is not with you, but you've brought another gentleman friend.
Yes, Wellby is getting treatment for rabies at the minute. So I brought my
Bloody
friend, the
rat.
captain, with me.
Is he here for a haircut? He looks like he could use one, and I could do something with that beard too. The captain snarls and goes, no, my hair is just fine, thank you very much.
I wouldn't mind a trim of my beard, though.
Sit in the chair. Don't worry about those gentlemen behind you. They're here to drink. And he grabs his scissors and lifts the seat and slides a box underneath it to raise it higher. Starts to snip gently at your beard. How are things with you?
Yeah. Do you know anything about the recent events?
Roll a persuasion. Says, I know about the gigantic hole in the center of town, if that's what you're referring to.
A man of your background surely knows more to it than that, though.
Well, such information often costs people lots of money, my friend. Money I suspect you do not quite have. The captain comes closer. Look, pal, if you know something about the goings-on, then we need to know about it right now. Every minute past is another minute where someone could be in danger, including yourself. The barber Melandra says, I know very well the danger I am in. I have always been in danger. Yet, to me, you're both strangers, so no, I will not share my concerns with you.
We have been deputized and we do have the authority to ask. The last person that was in danger has been killed, so we could offer you some protection if you could maybe help us out.
I'll say, Talyn, undo this invisibility, I'll talk to him.
Melandra looks around confused.
Click my fingers and
Okay, suddenly the
make you visible.
halfling appears. Wellby, you were here the whole time?
We didn't know whether there would be danger, so my wizard friend made me invisible. We think you're in danger. One of the other so-called believers has been murdered. Looks like to have been made a scapegoat. We suspect two of the other town elders are involved in his murder. Baragustus is dead, is what I'm trying to say.
I was worried something like this would happen. Ever since you came to town, this has been escalating. You got my letter, but you did not heed my advice. I will tell you some of what I know. The elders have been keeping an eye on those entering the town. A lot of people have gone missing in and around Red Larch, as you know. You made your intentions clear immediately after arriving that you were looking for missing people. Now, by pure coincidence, it seems that the Mirabar delegation vanishing is just one disappearance that the elders are probably innocent of. Either way, the elders decided that anyone looking for missing people was a threat. I know you're wondering if I am a believer. I was a believer in name only. I am not some quarry worker from the hills in the middle of nowhere. I lived in Baldur's Gate and Waterdeep, so I know a magical parlor trick when I see one. I knew that the stones moved every few days. I did not know how, but I know it wasn't the ghosts of some dwarven stoneworkers that died thousands of years ago. I assumed Larch was responsible, given that he was the one who claimed to be able to interpret the movements. Though he arrived in Red Larch after Elak Dornan forced me into being one of the believers.
Do you know where he might have gone? Larch has fled, it seems.
He belonged to some earth cult. It's meant to be hidden in the hills from what I've heard, but I've never been there.
Right.
The Somber Hills is a very big area. I'm afraid unless you had directions you will probably never find it in years of searching.
Oh, what of you, Melandra? How will you keep yourself safe from the other elders? They seem to be wanting to tie up loose ends and possible leaks, including yourself.
I've always found a way of taking care of myself. I just do not want to have to go back to Waterdeep again. This was the threat that Elak Dornan placed upon me. As you are aware, my exit from Waterdeep was rather hasty. My counterfeiting operation was shut down, and I had to bribe a few people to get me out of the dungeons, and assure me that no bounty hunters would ever track me down. I did wonder when you first came to town if you were such bounty hunters. I lived in safety, knowing that my freedom is paid for, but what I do have is a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me an asset for people like Elak Dornan. Dornan Finestone is one of the biggest distributors of stone to Waterdeep. I do not know how, but he discovered the history of my crime, and he told me that if I helped him with my contacts and taught him what I knew, that would be the end of it. The Waterdeep authorities will not look for you, Melandro, he told me, and they will not pursue you. But if you don't, they will look for you. They will find you, and they will imprison you.
Does he know about the note you sent to me?
As far as I'm aware, no. I took precautions so that I was not seen handing you anything.
Aye. It sounds like, unless he has reason to suspect you, I think he's got reason to keep you around and you might not be in danger. Could you tell me, who is Elberry?
Elberry is the female quarry worker. She is the foreman of the quarry. If you pursue this line, if you investigate, you're going to find some very dark things indeed. Things I am ashamed to have been involved in. But I assure you, I had no choice in what I did. I would like to know that I have some amnesty and can trust you as an old friend.
Well, I owe you from Waterdeep, so I'm not going to turn you over to anybody. But you have to tell us, is anybody in the town in danger?
I assume you have run into Grant.
Yes, we sent him to the constables.
He is a simpleton, but he is a good man.
Almost a murder victim.
The elders gave him money, fixed him up, gave him a second job to guard the tomb. He was involved in helping to move bodies, however, that I do know. The person who is probably most dangerous is probably Imeth Wavelar. I have seen what he can do with a knife.
Well, there's one of the believers.
Yes.
Is there anybody else we don't know about? The ones we know about, Rothar Hatherland, Elak Dornan, and now Welver. Is there anyone else apart from Elberry?
Arigo Bethunder. He owns the warehouses. He is also a believer. Ulro Lurith is the tanner. You will easily recognize him. You can smell him a mile away. I believe that is it.
Thank you for the trim and the information.
I'd say lay low for a while, Melandro.
I need your word, Wellby, that when other information about what we, the believers, did as a group comes to light, that you will give me some sort of amnesty and protect me from Harburg.
I'll do everything I can. If you were to go to Harburg yourself, I think you would trade an amnesty for your information. But then I think we'd be putting him in more danger.
Unfortunately, the reasons for what I was involved in link back to my crimes in Waterdeep. If Harburg learns of those, there will not be a place welcome for me in Red Larch.
If you try and lay low, I'll try and keep you out of this as much as possible.
Very well, thank you, my friend, and good luck to you.
Alright. Well, back on the street, I guess.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Come on.
There's few people milling around now. Obviously the crowds were quite busy before with the hole that had appeared.
Well, we've got some options as to what we could be doing. Should we go and investigate the elders we haven't yet spoken to, or should we just wade in and confront Dornan and Welver?
The captain says, "I have no time for criminals. I've seen many of them in my day. I wish that we could put them to the sword straight away, but perhaps we should be more cautious and allow the justice system to prevail in sending these miscreants to the cells."
Well, as you know, I like to avoid combat at all costs, as per usual.
Unless it's a half-orc.
Well, damn dirty half-orcs. I think we should investigate the other elders first.
Aye, we don't have any evidence to go to the constabulary with. I think we only have Melandro's testimony and he won't cooperate because he ain't no grass fan.
We could break into his house and snoop around. It wouldn't technically be breaking in. We are, deputies. I'm sure warrants don't exist in this particular universe.
Alright, well, you think we should go for the warehouse or the tanner?
The warehouse.
Alright, where is the warehouse?
There are 4 large buildings, that perhaps the only buildings that could be warehouses, in the south of town, not too far from where you entered the town. If you want to, you could head over there.
Alright. We're near the sundry shop.
Yep, Balabar Sundries, which is still open because you can see lights in it.
Yeah? Do you think there's anything any info we could gather from old Valabar? Wouldn't hurt to ask.
Yeah. Doesn't he have, unless I imagine it, don't children spy for him? Isn't he like Varys? I may
does
have
have
imagined that.
children working for him, yes, his little urchins.
Wander in.
Okay, you open the door and Valavo is looking through books. One of his urchins is next to him. He looks up and goes,
Hey, hello, you've come back.
Aye, indeed. We've just been beneath the town. The town elders and their friends have got quite a secret down there.
What secret would that be, my friends?
There's a tomb full of moving stones left by an extinct race of dwarves. The town elders worship the stones, thinking that they tell the future.
I see. This is all rather interesting, but I cannot help but go back to what you were saying originally when you came in about this dwarven chap you were looking for. The Balthazar or something like that. Well, anyway, I cast my mind back. You see, I buy so many books, that I don't always read them straight away. And, well, I found this book that I bought a few days ago. Perhaps you'd like to look at it.
and he slams down kind of a big, beautifully illuminated manuscript on his desk. And the title is in a form of text. What languages do you all speak?
Common,
Gnomish, Dwarvish, Elvish.
Yeah, you recognise that the text on the front is Dwarvish. It says on the front a genealogical history of the dwarf clans of Mirabar.
Okay.
well, you have to read it to me, Jim. Unless only the cover is Dwarvish and the inside is common.
I'll flick open the book.
As you open the book and read through it, scan through it rather, it is genuinely a genealogical history of the dwarf clans of Mirabar. On the inside, you do see the signatures as being scribed by Brildenthal.
Is the man we're after? Well, the dwarf we're after.
How did you say you acquired this book again?
I bought it from a peddler passing through town a number of days ago. The peddler told me that he bought it from some sort of shady keelboat skipper in Womford, who had somehow come by a dozen or so similar books.
He just happened to come by these books.
I see, I only spoke to the peddler. This is what he told me.
I don't suppose he's still about, is he? This peddler?
I'm afraid not, no. It was on market day, actually. That was, 3 days ago now.
Well, that's no good to us. Where is Womford?
Womford it's just to the southeast.
How many days travel?
The southeast isn't where we believe the dwarves to be.
No, you believe that the last known location of the delegation was Belliard?
No.
So, let's see, it's about 40 miles to the southeast-ish. And in terms of travel, normally per day, if you're going at a normal pace, you travel about 24 miles a day.
I think the chances of tracking down a peddler that we don't know anything about is going to be fairly slim to none.
It's the skipper of the boat that's in Womford, or was in Womford. But being a boatman, he could be anywhere by now.
The captain says, did the skipper have a name that you know? Ballard goes, I'm sorry, he just mentioned a keelboat captain in Womford. You have to understand that this, at the point I'm buying it, it's just an interesting book. Had I known I was going to have, to my good friends, trying to find this chap, then if I could go back through the mists of time and ask him more information, then I would.
Aye. Oh, I can think about that later.
I did buy that book for 25 gold pieces.
Is it really worth that much?
Oh, historical documents like this are one of a kind, and clearly it is a unique piece. I don't want to be too morbid, but if anything happens to Bruldenthar, it may actually go up in value. Now, I hope that isn't the case, but, as a businessman, I have
you
to...
could try not to grin so much about the prospect. So.
Well, that book will
Okay.
come in handy now that the tombs down below are open. It may give some clues as to who these dwarves really were. I don't think that believers, such as they are, really had much use for dwarven genealogy.
You do know that the book indicates it's the clans of Mirabar, which is far, far to the north.
Alright.
which is actually where obviously the Mirabar delegation, where it originated from.
Alright. So nowhere around here then.
In fact, if you trained in history, you could do a history check now, just to gather more information. Okay, not a great one, but Talyn does know that Mirabar's founded many, many, many years after the dwarves in the historical dwarves of this area from thousands of years ago.
Could be descendants.
Oh yeah, of course, but the book would not cover that.
No.
Let's say we head towards the warehouse then. I think we're going to get much more useful information from him.
Okay, so the warehouse is just to the north. Yes, you come to the warehouse. What does appear to be 4 buildings. Okay, there's 4 identical well-built warehouses here, standing ground covered in raked gravel and cinders. There's a sign that says Bethander's storage rent space by 10-day, month or year.
Alright, well let's see if Mr. Bethander is in this warehouse number 1.
And in fact, as you get to the door, the doors open up and a tall, smiling man stands up. The man welcomes you and goes, "Hello, hello, can I interest you in some storage space?"
You can interest me in some answers.
I see. Information you're after.
Ah, indeed. We have it that you and several of the other elders are part of a cult of believers in the Tomb of the Moving Stones down below.
Don't sugarcoat it there, will we?
Roll an intimidate check.
I'm a little bit intimidating.
The man goes from smiling to kind of half smiling and says, "Well, I don't know anything about that, I'm afraid. I deal in storage."
What's the reaction of the other people in the room to this?
They're milling around, carrying a few boxes and sorting things. They kind of half look up, but kind of definitely not smiling, but just sullen faces.
Miserable gits.
Do they appear to be armed?
We didn't come here for a fight.
Just assessing the situation.
They do seem to have maces attached to them.
Flipping it. This guy takes
Tell me, does
seriously.
the storage business tend to attract much trouble? You appear to be well armed for warehouse people.
Well, my friend, I store all manner of exotic and expensive goods here. Warehouses have always been a target for thieves.
I see.
I would not be much of a businessman if I did not look after elements of my business, would I?
Oh, it just seems odd that all of your workmen are armed at all times. It's quite rare to see in a what I
necessary
assume is
precaution
a
in
friendly
these
business.
troubling times, I'm afraid.
Oh, I don't know. I've robbed a few warehouses in my time. This seems normal to me.
I stood Wellby on the toe.
I whispered that.
If you have any information on any crimes, then I suggest you go to Constable Harbour. He'd be more than willing to listen to what you have to say.
It's funny you should mention that, I say, as I withdraw my deputy's badge.
I see.
Now, the matter of your private religious beliefs notwithstanding.
This is going to go well, I can tell.
Yeah. See, I don't particularly care very much about that. What I do care about was there is a man down in that crypt who tried to kill us and we're trying to find him. What do you know of this man named Larch?
Have you found anything that, I don't know, maybe could prove your findings?
We have witnesses who won't testify.
Okay. I'm a businessman, you see, and I deal in what I can see, what I can touch. And it doesn't appear that you have much. This is a very poor business pitch, if I ever did hear one.
Look, we're not here for business. We're here to uncover some wrongdoings in this town.
Life is a business, my little gnome friend. I have to think about what's best for my interests. And what did you find in this tomb?
Did we mention it was a tomb? I can't remember now.
I did, yeah.
Ah, okay. I thought I had it.
We found these floating stones you worship. We found a petrified dwarf, and we found your man Larch.
Larch is no man of mine.
So you do know of him then?
I have heard things, yes.
Okay, what have you heard?
Rumours mostly. The ramblings of people in taverns and so on. I am an innocent man. I'm a businessman, as I have already established to you many times. I go with the flow often when it does not harm me, and what you're discussing could harm me at some point. I would be interested in talking to you if you could perhaps guarantee a few things for me, namely my safety.
And who would we be keeping you safe from?
Oh, people like this Larch person, for example.
So you're quite happy to be rid of him?
Oh, I have no love of Larch or his earth cult. I voiced my concerns to others when I learned that he had arrived in Red Larch, and although I indulged certain people in their beliefs, I'm afraid to say that I am no believer and never have been. But I am a village elder, and Red Larch will continue to need people to lead it and to keep it well managed well after everything is resolved here, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh,
I
I
think-
understand.
Our aims have mutual points there. I think we could all work together to be rid of him.
Maybe not just him. Which of the elders was Larach working with? Who brought him in? Did anyone bring him in, or did he come on his own?
Perhaps we should go into my room to the side here a second. Gentlemen, leave us! And with that, the men walk out the warehouse.
The thugs crawl into the woodwork, ready to burst out at the appropriate moment.
He opens up a side door, which doesn't seem to have much in it, the room, but it is a side room at the very least. Walks in and beckons you in.
Okay, now we're alone. So tell us from the beginning, how came Larach to this town?
Roll a persuasion check.
Oh, it's super effective. I'm going to throw my Pokeball at him.
Okay, you seem like reasonable people. I believe Larach originally invited himself. I do not believe that any of the village elders sought him out, but we elders have often wondered the nature of the stones and how to interpret the signs that were sent or believed to have been sent. This is a heritage that has been passed down from village elder to village elder. Elak happens to be the current leader at this time, and he, when greeted by Larach, invited him in to read the signs. Of course, Larach went from being an advisor to essentially controlling the elders, and has done for, well, the way I see it, at least a couple of months now. My attendance has diminished somewhat of the meetings. We often enter via the quarry to the north. There is an entrance there to the tombs.
No, that would be the one we went through, I suspect. The one in the quarry, which is caved in.
I have to admit, and I am about to confess a crime here, you understand, and I hope I can trust you. You've convinced me so far that you're a reasonable people and that we are on the same side, and I'm sure you can understand my predicament in being a village elder and not wanting the wrath of Elak or Larach upon me. I have used my warehouse to store things, no questions asked. Now, at this current time, I can vouch that my warehouse is free of any illicit items or bodies. You catch my rather explicit meaning.
Uh-huh.
Do you know whose bodies these were?
Travellers, people coming through Red Larch. A lot of people are not accounted for when they pass through Red Larch. Some people just merely travel the lands anyway. Other traders can be explained as having been killed by bandits or wild animals in the hills. It is a dangerous area, so no one has really asked many questions apart from you and a couple of others. These people were mostly traders, travellers, homeless people. Part of Larach's earth cult involved ritualistic killing, something he managed to convince some of my fellow elders to partake in.
Which of the elders did this?
I hope this doesn't come back to me, or at least until...
You'll be anonymous.
I know for a fact, and there could be others, that Alberi was involved in murders, Imleth was involved in murders, Malandro Gaelka was also involved in murders.
Aye. What's your take on Elak Dornan? He seems a shady character, but I can't tell whether he's a sensible sort of a fellow and is just going along for the ride, or whether he's a true believer.
He used to be a very sensible fellow, but he truly believes in the power of the stones, and this has driven him to, as far as I can see, the form of madness. His frustration at not being able to read the signs led him to involve Larach, or allow Larach to read the signs. Since Larach was involved, he's
gone more extreme, has certainly instigated some of the deaths, even if he has not been involved himself. I'm sure the fact that he hasn't been involved was always some kind of contingency plan to allow him to wash his hands of it once it was discovered.
If we needed some kind of evidence other than you, because obviously you want to stay anonymous, is there any evidence you could point us towards?
I believe the killings, although I was not present for them, were undertaken with some sort of ritualistic knife.
I believe I have that knife in my possession. Does the pommel say have Res Zoa engraved in it?
I believe so. I have not actually seen the dagger myself. I am going off the whispers of a couple of the other elders.